Listeners everywhere, welcome to the Movie Show with Joel and Ryan, the weekly fix for your screen addiction and a trusted source for discussion of all things film and television. Please keep in mind that for the purposes of this podcast, Joel and Ryan are not acting as journalists, but rather fellow moving picture enthusiasts. All of their opinions should be taken as such. Also, please be warned that while Joel and Ryan may seem like petulant children, they are, in fact, adults who may occasionally use adult language. While they promise to bleep out all the worst words, it's a good bet you will still understand what they were saying. And now, with no further ado, here's Joel and Ryan.
Greetings from the Lord Humongous, the Lord Humongous, the warrior of the wasteland, the Ayatollah of rock and rolla. Welcome to the Movie Show with Joel and Ryan. I am Joel.
And I'm Ryan.
And of course we have
the Golden Youth, Michael Klug.
The Golden Youth! The Golden Youth is here. Yay, Michael's here. Woo-hoo. All right. So today is a little movie. Pop quiz for the two, or not pop quiz, but just a quick poll for both of you. I mean, I always thought, you kind of made reference to this last week, Ryan, that a lot of people saw Road Warrior first. That's how it was for me, is I saw Road Warrior first.
Me too.
In fact, I didn't see Mad Max until after Thunderdome. Some would say I saw
true for me as well. I'm not sure of the exact timing, but it's close to that.
Yeah, I saw some would say we saw Mad Max beyond Thunderdome.
Nobody would say that.
I think that they might, if they were feeling generous.
Nobody with any decency would ever say such a thing.
No. I think we all know me well enough by now to know that decency is not the word you used to describe me.
This is the show and the movie for you that we're talking about today.
So welcome. We're going to talk about some call it Mad Max 2. Some call it Mad Max the Road Warrior. Some just call it the Road Warrior. It's got all of those names, and all of them would be correct, I guess. So hi everybody. How you doing?
It's nice to call it, I think, Mad Max 2, the Road Warrior, so that you are honoring both names, because internationally...
I agree, but it's like it's the Road Warrior. It's like it's never going to be other than
but you
that.
just watched it. What does it say at the beginning of the movie?
The Road Warrior.
Doesn't. It says whoosh, Mad Max 2. It never says the Road Warrior. The guy says it in the voiceover. He uses that term, but that's not what the title says.
No, I mean, I have the I believe it's the Warner Brothers DVD that I still have, and I'm pretty sure it says the Road Warrior at the beginning. I'm just
I'm looking at the poster right now. It honestly looks like the poster for an adult film.
Which poster are you looking at?
Men, the one that comes up on IMDb. Mad Max 2 with two hunky dudes right on it. It just says
But that's just in Michael's defense, that's the international poster, the Australian poster. That's not the American one.
I just like that it has two hunky guys and the tagline is "Just one man can make a difference."
Is this the one with the truck in the center? And it's
the truck in the center.
Arms?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's the cassette soundtrack that I still have. That's the cover art. Yeah.
Oh, it's the painting with the truck. So that is the American one, and that says Mad Max 2 on it as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if there's an official name for it, it's Mad Max 2. There's no question about that. However, Joel, I think you're right. There's no wrong way to do it. We all knew it as various things, and I think that's
as long as
totally
you love it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Dude, man, whoever watched it with Michael didn't like it. Whose name I can't remember. Probably for the best. It's probably for the best because I might be tempted with your name and like a personal item of yours to put a curse on you. It could happen. So maybe it's
remember that you know, like they said in Love Story, love means never having to say the road warrior.
Yeah. I met a couple of guys. I met a guy at a film festival last fall, and I don't remember what it was. We watched some short, and some guy sitting behind me, I didn't know him, and it was kind of post-apocalyptic, maybe Mad Max inspired, this short or whatever it was. And this guy behind me, I don't know, I don't even remember what it was, but he said something like Thunderdome's better than Road Warrior, or something like that. And I mean, I literally turned and I'm like, and so then we kind of talked a little bit more throughout the rest of the festival, and we described that encounter as the unpleasantness. It's like, no, there's going to be some problems here. That was the time of unpleasantness anyway. Yeah. I can't imagine anybody not going bonkers for this movie. Like watching it 2 days ago, I can't contain my excitement. Anyway, sorry. Yeah. It's a pretty good movie, y'all.
It's really, really good. I mean, it's one of those films that when you saw it on HBO or you saw it on VHS, on home video, or however you first saw it, you know, this isn't going to be everybody's experience, but for many, 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 many of us, it really did sort of blow you away. And it's one of those films that, despite its super like B-movie weird trappings, you know, it's been copied 100 times, all with huge drop-offs in quality. Like there's no almost Road Warrior out there at all of any kind, even though they've tried and tried and tried and tried to make this film again. And when you see it, I'm still watching that old DVD, but when you see it in high definition and you see it with the desert filter taken off of it, and you see it, you know, in the designs and the shots in all their glory, it's a stunning visual masterpiece of a film. Even when nothing's happening, even just that overhead shot where Max is just getting out of his car and walking toward the gyro sitting there by itself.
Yep.
And all of the lookout on that ridge above the pumping station.
Yeah.
It's stunningly
you can see the curve of the film. Earth in some of those shots. Like that's how,
It's just so... the scope of it, the design of it, the ideas. I mean, and the costumes are just like hockey equipment and workout gear from the early 80s. Like it's
Papa Gallo's mask at the end. Come on.
It's just a Cooper hockey helmet. My brother had one just like it. Or maybe not the Cooper, maybe it's the other kind. Either way, it's just a hockey mask. And of course, they're repurposing things from the past. It makes sense that it would be that way. It's not that. It's just that its low budget B-movie trappings are splattered throughout every scene as well. And so a movie that's having that much fun, that's that big, that's that sort of action-packed and surprising, and it repeatedly surprising in its depravity and tragedy. Nothing that compares to, you know, the murder of Max's family in the first film, not from an emotional standpoint, but more of everything for your money. You know what I mean? You do really feel bad for everybody, but it's got
amazing bits of humor, which are not present in the first one. I mean, maybe a couple here and there, like, you know, the bumbling guys at the beginning of the chase, but in this, Gyro Captain is legit hysterically funny.
Yes.
Bruce Spence, every time I watch him, I'm like, and you know, we can't go to the very last moment, but that what he brings to this, because Max is our hero, but like in all future Mad Max movies, he doesn't say anything. He tries not to do anything until he's compelled to. Like he's not Snake Plissken, you know, but he's a fantastic anti-hero of just the First Order, and the character's so cool. I just don't see how he could be even slightly cooler than he is. And, you know, and on a cool factor of like 12.5, it's just
off the
Even
charts.
all the little details, like some of the looks he has. I mean, the swapping of the binoculars for the
Yes.
like just little things like that are so
him noticing the thing, like it's such a well realized moment. I totally agree. Totally agree. And of course the Australian cattle dog and that he travels with. Man. It's just so much. There's so much in this that is fun, like you say, that even though it's such an incredibly dark tale, it just pulls you along in the greatest way. So we need to start at the beginning, right? Unless there's any more final thoughts we want to get away at the start here.
It's a love fest. We can do whatever.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess
it's gonna be, because it really is. I really insist. It's a true masterpiece of visual storytelling, where all of the action has all of the drama of a really great scene in an Oscar-winning movie. All of the intention, the plan is clear to the audience every step of the way. Everything's communicated very, very clearly. Yes. And there's never a moment, kind of like Mad Max is the same way, but this movie, because its ambition the scale's so expanded, there is never an unnecessary moment in it. Even the little side journeys with these weird cast of characters, we'll talk about each one, is key and important and helps to bring the world of the story and the relationships between the people involved vividly to life. And it still contains, unbeaten to this day, the greatest action sequence of all time.
I'm gonna agree. That chase sequence, I mean, those last 20-30 minutes, it's so
I thought you meant the boomerang scene.
Well, that's
great
that
too.
Is pretty great. That is pretty great,
great
all right, let's get to it. We are jumping in. This is 1981's Mad Max 2: The Road Warrior.
I have to do a deep dive.
Deep dive. Deep dive.
I have to do a deep dive.
Deep dive. Deep dive.
I have to do a deep dive.
Deep dive. Deep dive. Deep dive.
All right, so this is the one that starts with the voiceover.
Yep, and ends with the voiceover.
Yeah, and this is a time of chaos.
This voiceover is really poetic and haunting too. I mean, sometimes these voiceovers it's purely expositional, but even the editing of the Mad Max footage and the fact that it's TV shaped and black and white, and that way when you come zooming out of the Max's engine at the beginning into glorious, colorful widescreen, the effect is
also
stunning.
Apparently
I've never seen.
Apparently also in mono. Apparently also in mono, and then when it sweeps forward, it's when it goes to stereo.
Spreads out.
It's joyful.
Very, very cleverly designed, and I never saw Road Warrior in the theater, but that effect had to have been really, really cool.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yep, so.
The wasteland. Of course, we don't know who it is. We don't know who it is that is providing me.
And talk.
Yep.
It basically just runs down the previous movie and gives us the sort of geopolitical reason for the end of the world, and it does both pretty efficiently and with a lot of style. So it sets up that we have indeed had as Bubba said to Johnny the Boy, you just don't have the style, do you? It's got style to spare, and we haven't just even barely started it.
Yeah, indeed.
We're introduced to the dog.
Yeah, dog is.
We had to talk poor Michael out of getting that kind of dog. He so desperately wanted one. In an apartment in LA, dude, that dog would drive you insane. I had an Australian cattle dog when I lived in Kentucky, and they're just like you see in the movie. I mean, they are the greatest dogs ever. They're fiercely loyal. They're just the kind of dog. I mean, other than him being in Australia, so Australian cattle dog being the most common kind of dog you'd have down there. They're fiercely loyal. They are excessively smart, but they're worker dogs. They have to be given a job. They have to have a task, or they go insane. And even in this trailer I was living at when I was living in Kentucky, out in this farm land, if one of us was in the kitchen and the other one was watching TV, like, it would just be between us, and nervously wanting us to get together, wanting to herd us together. That's like genetically engineered into what they are. They're not comfortable until the herd is all tight, where it can kind of keep an eye on them and stuff. And the dog in this, I don't know how many dog takes or how much work it took to get them, but the performance is like everything else in the movie, right? It's fully realized. It's like, every moment counts. Every moment's like in the moment. We'll talk about the dog specific stuff, but to get that out of my way. Australian cattle dogs are super cool, but you need a lot of land, and you got to let them out, and they got to let them run around a lot. And they're like outdoor worker dogs. Just keep that in mind when you're shopping for puppies. They're a lot of work.
Oh,
yeah.
They're herding dogs. Yep.
Yeah, they're really cool though. They're really cool. Like I saw in Kentucky, you'd see them everywhere. That's where they are in the States for some reason. And you'd see them. They just, like, you'd go into like Walmart or something, and one would just be in the back of somebody's truck, and it'd just be sitting there. And you'd be blah, blah, blah. It wouldn't be like, oh, lick me, pet me. It'd just kind of stand there like a statue guarding the truck. They're super cool. They're really, really cool dogs.
So then we get so after the voiceover, we fade in on or not, we don't fade in, we zoom on in.
We zoom out, basically.
Love
that big engine sticking out on top of the now. I was calling it the Black Pursuit Special in Mad Max because that was its official name, but it's non-canonical, like, nickname and beloved name amongst all the rest of us, and what it is called in this movie is the last of the V8 Interceptors. So we'll call it that from now on. And then we can have it both ways, basically. It's sort of cheating, but whatever. Yeah, that car, man, in all its glory. We only see it before it gets diminished. We only see it for a couple seconds, but it's so great. And even with the front ripped off of it, it's still pretty badass, actually.
and we meet our main henchman for the movie.
Yeah, the odd job of the Road Warrior. There he is.
Which is Wes. Good old Wes.
No, that name is never spoken in the movie.
I know.
We all know he's
but
Wes.
It's Wes.
Played by the great Vernon Wells.
I have a side story. I somehow connected with him on Facebook, and I actually had a Facebook chat with him for a reading of one of my scripts, and I actually asked him if he'd come do it, and he considered it. It didn't end up happening, but I'm like, that would have been kind of monumental. But anyway, yeah.
Show us a little Wes there, Michael. There he is.
Wes.
Hi for the video. Yeah, Wes, woohoo!
You can run,
he's even got
but
the
you can't hide.
He's even got the buttless straps. Yep.
Michael, don't take this the wrong way.
Yeah.
But I've been meaning to ask you this for years.
Oh, no.
I just don't take it the wrong way, but I just feel like I've known you a long time. You won't get mad at me. I know you're not like an expert on this, but I just feel like you're the person closest to that I know that I can ask. Okay? Are there any other kind of chaps that aren't buttless? I mean, aren't they by necessity,
by design? Yeah,
not have an ass in them? I mean, isn't that what chaps are?
I guess so.
If I knew a cowboy, cool. Instead, I know like a kind of hip LA gay guy, and I just feel like you're the only one that I can really ask this question to.
Well, my extensive detours into the leather world.
Mhm.
No, but I guess it makes sense because they would have jeans underneath, and they'd need to be able to move and have.
They're always called assless chaps, or David Lee Roth and his buttless chaps or whatever. And I'm like,
yeah. Well,
of course they're buttless.
I think
they're
right.
chaps.
Yeah, I think you're right, but that's just how they're referenced. I guess
You get some great looks at them in the Road Warrior. There's no question about that, and I appreciate your sensitivity on that issue. Thank you for that.
There are no chaps that are like
that defeats the
because then they would just be called pants, leather pants.
Right.
So okay, I just wanted to get that out there. It always felt a bit redundant to me, but
you are not wrong. Chaps, of course, shortened from the Spanish chaparreras, originated as a type of leather leg protector used by Mexican and American cowboys in the 19th century.
And then adopted by the village people. Yep.
Indeed. And
very much so, yes.
And always a go-to fashion accessory.
Oh, by the way, I have to show, since we already introduced Max, there's Max.
Yep.
You look good. His head seems a bit small for his body there.
It kind of does, but I think that's the design. Yeah.
Well, and also he's like ripped in that, like he's like total buff. Like they use the same body mold for Wes as they did for Max there.
No, he's actually a little larger. But I do have to say, little side note is that this is prime Mel Gibson hotness in his career. Like right here in this film.
Really? You think he's hotter in this one than the last one with his little white sideburns and stuff?
Because it's like Mad Max, he's just too young and kind of cute.
Have you ever seen The Year of Living Dangerously?
I have 100 years ago, but I don't remember it. But it's
pretty hot in it.
Really? Because this, it's the smirk. It's the, I don't know. This is prime Mel Gibson.
Yeah, this guy is loaded with coolness and attitude, and even when he's bloody and his eye is bulging out and he's next to death, he still is kind of hot. So I can't disagree. I'm teasing you, but I cannot disagree with that statement. It's
matinee idol handsomest right here.
Very much so.
Yep.
Yeah. And anyway, Joel's trying to break down this opening chase for us. This show's gonna.
I was just gonna say. So we
look out for the Love Fest deep dives, you guys. There can be tricky.
Yeah, Max is they come up upon this giant or on a semi that is broken down.
They're already chasing for some. That's the cool thing about the opening.
It starts in progress.
We don't know what started this or how they came across each other. They're already kind of fighting it with each other. We get to see the nitro handle on the thing. We get to see the car really take off and smash.
Every time that's ignited, my adrenaline level just goes to the roof every time they show that nitro.
Well, in the old 60s car smashing the dune buggy to smithereens and stuff like this. Action sequence is short and tight compared to the epic ones that we get later, but it's still awesome and really, really exciting. So just to say that, but yeah, Joel makes a good point. It's not just let's introduce our world, let's introduce our story. It introduces also an extremely important plot element in a very natural and awesome way. And this abandoned tanker truck on the side of the road, which the truck itself doesn't seem to have any gas in it, the tanker, but the truck does, and it's sitting there leaking. And even though they're in the middle of a chase, once he gets a free moment, he slows down by the side of it, does everything he can. I mean, he's taking a rag and sopping up the cement just to get every ounce of gasoline that he can. And
real quick,
go ahead.
Sorry, I'm going to sidebar us real quick. Just because we do start, mid-action, things are happening as we join. Yep. Is the voiceover at the beginning necessary? Would we? You think so?
Because I mean, maybe not, but I think the voiceover gives you all kinds of depth of context to the film. If you hadn't seen the first one, and that whole opening assumes you hadn't. Also, in 1982, there'd been 2 other post-apocalyptic movies, not 90. So it needed some sort of context, I think, for that, and it does both of them brilliantly.
No, I don't say that out of criticism. Yeah,
I don't think it needs it, but I think it benefits from it.
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, I would say it sets the tone, and it also relieves us of probably Papagayo or something later on giving us some sort of monologue about the before times.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they would have had to.
way.
Yeah, it gets it out of the way, sets the tone, and just lets us go. I bring that up without criticism. I just was like, it does start like just right mid-action, and I always love that. I love that in a film where, as an audience member, you have to be like, oh, okay, yeah, we're going. All right, we're in the.
It begs the question, though, because in my own writing, I hate clunky exposition. I hate it. It's like you can always tell when it's bad, and this could be considered clunky. But it's so acceptable and forgivable. I'm like, I don't, and maybe it's just because
it's well written. First off,
Mm-hmm.
and
I think what Ryan said, it's kind of poetic.
And once it's over, it's well written. It comes back at the end in a neat sort of gut punch sort of way. Like it's just, again, they maximize the value of it. That's all you can really ask. I don't mind this. Like I think. If you're going to do a voiceover, lean into the convention and do an epic one like this. Like I always feel that's true, because I always feel it's the little ones where they're just trying to get you out of the way, and they bring in Morgan Freeman to read them or whatever, and I'm just like, hey, Christ. Like that. Those are the ones I get sick of. This where it's like this goes on for a while.
Yeah,
it shows you a lot of stuff. It tells you a lot of stuff. It's like.
Well, it's nice. It goes
it.
from the general what happened in the world down to how it affected Max. I think it's a nice way
the
to
warrior Max.
Yeah, and revisits what exactly happened to him, and I mean, it sets up perfectly not only the world he's now in, but
even then, it doesn't. It's such a great voiceover. It doesn't really tell you what happened. It shows you what happened, and it tells you in only the most generalities what happens to people in this world, and that combo is powerful. It's really, really well done. I mean, not to go back to that, but
sorry,
I don't think it needs it. I think it could totally start. I think you're right, Joel. It could totally start where it starts and still be the same great movie, but I was thrilled for it, and I remembered watching Mad Max for the first time after seeing Road Warrior 30 times and seeing all that stuff happen, and that was a huge, because Mad Max I grew to love it over the age. Mad Max is super disappointing compared to Road Warrior. I get where people are coming from.
Yeah.
But the thrill was seeing those images come to life in all their glory all of a sudden, and really understanding what that voiceover was like. So it even enhances the movie that came before somehow, I think.
Yeah, I guess it also emphasizes that this is a memory. I mean, that this is someone having telling this story from a memory, almost like the sharing of a tribal story, the
which we get literally in the next film.
Yeah. So anyway, so he's searching the wrecked truck, like you said, sopping up every last bit of gasoline he can.
Yeah, and Wes, also during the fight, has gotten shot in the leg with these arrows. They're not really arrows; they're like darts.
And don't forget his boyfriend is with him.
Yeah, his boyfriend, Golden Youth.
Yep.
Golden Youth.
While he's doing that, he pulls it out and he pulls it out of his leg with his.
Yeah, and
there's a lot of Michael. This is a motif, I think. There's a lot of grimacing in this, where you think it's smiling, but it's something else. When Bruce is watching the horrific takedown, and he's doing this, he's going. And it looks like he might be smiling, but I don't think he is. I think it's like squinting.
Well, his face, though, does completely shift. I mean,
I also think it's an actor technique where if he's doing this and he does that, it's a huge change. And I think the actor kind of knows that. But I don't think it looks like he's smiling or something. I don't think they're ever really smiling when they do this.
Look, as someone who
grimacing in the old school kind of way.
Yeah, I think I'll say, as someone who's been on stage and done a lot of shows, I have looked out and seen the audience looking at me like that. And initially, I do think that they're smiling, and then as the show's going on, I'm like, "Oh no,
they're in
saying I suck and I hate." Yeah, and then my self-hatred comes in. But it's
they're in some kind of pain. Well, he's in pain, but he's almost like an animal. He's like this grimace smile through it.
I do want to talk about the setup here, and I remember this so vividly as a kid. This opening scene being so disturbing to me because it's a great double scare whammy. When Max is down there and he's looking at Wes, and then he the whoever's in the dune buggy semi-alive. You get that really big swell of music as well. And then he goes to the truck. I mean, damn, that scared the hell out of me as a kid. You know,
he sees the guy in the dune buggy's arm reaching out and screaming in his last throes of life. And then when he opens the door of the truck, a bug-eyed corpse model from the previous film.
Really.
It's so fabulous, though, because even as a kid, I'm always like, what was the guy in the truck doing? Did he just sit there and die? You know, did he die of dehydration? You know,
he was just shot and we just don't see the wound. There's any number of things that could happen.
Yeah, there's always those things.
I always assumed that the driver of the truck is not the guy who spray painted those apocalyptic cryptic words on the side of the truck. But at the same time, who would have taken time, who came along later to spray paint some stuff and not get the gas? You know, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Maybe it shouldn't. It's weird. It's disorienting. It brings up all these weird questions, and before you can get bogged down in them, you're on to the next thing. So,
well, we get the introduction of the music box, which is
that was the important.
Next thing. Yeah,
he's searching bodies, which is a common thread, and finds a bunch of crap. But the thing that he keeps is what's it play?
Happy birthday. No, happy birthday.
Yep.
Oh, it does play Happy Birthday. Wow. Good job, you guys.
Yep. But it's a really, I mean, obviously it comes into play later, but it's such an kind of watching his face as he plays it. There's this weird little bit of, you know, humanity callback to, you know, Sprague and all this stuff.
And layered on top of that, there's this warrior of the wasteland sort of, this I can actually imagine coming in handy at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is why he keeps it. I don't think it's over nostalgia. It's, of all this crap, I don't know. This is going to be something that they probably haven't.
He doesn't dig until he's with the gyro captain in that later scene. This one, I think he just gets that. I don't even think he digs, does he?
Does he? I thought he pulled out like a charm bracelet and some other weird looking crap that I couldn't quite tell.
Yeah,
that's later with the guy that gets the. Okay, I believe you. So what happens next, Joel?
So then he drives off. He's got his little happy birthday thing. He he's like, hey, I get win. And then he drives off and he spots a gyrocopter by the side of the road. And
just sitting there waiting to be pillaged for all of its wonderful value.
And he he knows it's I believe he knows it's a trap. He knows it's something, but he's like, okay. So he's looking around trying to figure it out. He sees that there's a snake guarding the gyrocopter. Yeah, and Max makes he's able to get he guts the snake, but then of course he Bruce Spence as the gyro captain, or in Greece,
out of the dirt, out of the earth, literally.
He's the hero captain.
See, he's even got the snake.
Nice.
There it is. Nice. He pops up, got his crossbow.
Yep.
And he is like, nope, come on, I'm taking your gas. Come on, Max. I go in.
Gasoline, hey.
Yep. And
I love that he has to get the dirt out of his nose.
Everything Bruce Spence does, every word out of his mouth in this scene, every body movement, every twitch.
It's so fascinating.
I hate to say it because he's gone on to do so many cool things, and he's such a fantastic actor in more naturalistic stuff. Also, he's one of those guys who's appeared in like every major Hollywood trilogy of the 90s and aughts, which is fun. So you can track him across the Matrix films or the Star Wars prequels or the Lord of the Rings movies, and it's on and on. He's in everything. But he's just never better than he is here. Like all of his skills, all of his huge fun personality, his inventiveness, and his innate likability, despite looking like a weird hermit desert rat freak, is all here in this role. Like he's the most sympathetic character in the movie.
Well, he's got amazing humanity. He's so I don't know. It's such a well-drawn character. Yeah, he lives in the dirt, and but he
lives in the dirt, but he also flies above the chaos.
Yes, he does.
True, to some degree.
What I love about this scene, though, is that
he's not a low man; he's a high man.
High man is that we get this wonderful additional. It's like as if we couldn't have seen Max as more badass. And then we just get these additional bits with the car and the dynamite. And it's like, this guy is just the shit. Pardon my term. But it's like, he's so cool. And everything.
Ever seen a man beat the snake before?
Yeah. So
a quick man.
Yeah, so we get a lot of really good.
He's smart too. He's not. Yeah. He's met his match in Max. Obviously, we all know this right from the moment we see him, because Max is so whatever about this whole scene. Like not concerned, but he's no idiot. Which, Michael, you prefer this. You don't like the clown character to show up and just be a doofus. You want him to have some inventiveness and to sort of advocate for his own survival. Anyone who survived in this world.
Yeah, so we learn tons of stuff in this little scene. We learn that the fuel tanks are booby trapped. We learn that that he keeps weapons everywhere. Obviously, we're reminded again of we're learning more about Max. In case you did not see Mad Max, but even seeing Mad Max, you wouldn't know that he was particularly like quick and have kind of these.
Until you see it, it's true. Film has to show it to us. And of course, when Max turns the tables on the Gyro Captain delivers us into where all the action is going to happen, and to what the plot of the thing really is going to be. Just basically to save his own life, he says, I know where they have gasoline. And it's this great speech where he's like, that place is too hot for me. I'm not going near there, but a man of your ingenuity.
Yep.
So, okay, let me go and everything will be fine. And then he makes the deal, let me live. And later on, he says, hey, the deal was you let me go. And he goes, no, the deal is I wouldn't kill you. Mm-hmm. So he keeps him as prisoner basically the entire time.
The cut into the car and the setup in the car.
Yeah.
Come on.
Oh, cut in the car good. Where there's the the infamous shot-off shotgun of Mad Max's Max Rockatansky's, like with a wire in it connected to a toy bone in our sidekick dog's mouth.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And the great scene where the jackrabbit runs briefly outside. He's like,
but that's what you're talking about earlier. The dog's acting is just perfect. Like the way it looks at the thing and then looks back at the Gyro Captain. Like we both saw that, right?
Yeah. And as dogs for the most part don't really act, but to capture these things that fit the story you're trying to tell, to insist, because you see George Lucas like not even insist like a child actor be good in his movie, who might have been able to be good if you'd just captured a decent performance of him instead of just giving up after the first worthless take. This requires work to get a dog to interact with its environment, because there's no rabbit. That's an insert shot. But it all puzzles together to make the dog like a rich, awesome character. And that takes real patience and dedication to get that stuff on screen. Because I don't know how many dog outtakes there are in this thing, but there's got to be a jillion of them where it did everything wrong or even did worse things than wrong. Because it's a dog.
or they took 15 hours off of a day just to play with the dog and pet the dog and love it.
Yeah, maybe not. But maybe not. Australian cattle dogs are diamond. They're kind of like cats in the country around here down there. They're awesome, and he captures the awesomest one ever in film. But I doubt that all the other Australian crew and stuff were too enchanted with it. Probably at that point in their lives.
Lame.
So they reach.
We'll ask. We know some Australians. Someday when we get a chance, we'll ask for their take on it and really see what it's all about. I could be wrong. But it's great. That whole sequence is hilarious. And when we learn later that there's not much threat there, it's doubly hilarious. And and we kind of learn in this scene, because there's a take to Max, right, Joel, where he does the little giggle at the whole situation. As callous as he is, I don't think he'd think it was funny if this guy got his head blown off with a shotgun and sitting next to him in the car. So we know that about Max.
He sees there's value there, which obviously plays later.
Right, and the cleanup would be horrible.
Exactly.
And even that Gyro Captain, there's still this code of honor there, right? Gyro Captain didn't kill him. probably wasn't gonna, like, he got a read on the guy, and even though he doesn't treat him particularly well as a captive, it could be worse. We've seen how much worse it could be. So kind of neat.
So they arrive at some high ground where they can look down and see the refinery, the oil refinery. They're looking down at it.
These sequences are really some of my favorite in the film, I have to say.
So
just because the way they're laid out visually is so powerful.
Yeah, they're
the
looking
pumping
down
station,
at it. They're watching it.
Ka-chunk.
And the refinery is under attack by a gang of ruffians.
Under siege, I would say. It really is like a medieval siege where the enemy is outside swarming around this place on all sides.
Yeah, trying to find, just waiting for that mistake to happen where they can reach the wall and whatever.
Yeah, and we were talking about these shots above there. You can see the curve of the earth in the background on the horizon in these shots.
Well, you can see every vehicle doing stuff. This is all choreographed and planned out. It's all magical and amazing. You've got your heroes, your stars, basically acting in the foreground while this crazy organized chaos is happening in this visually beautiful way in the background. And again, it's explaining the situation to us with nobody really speaking. Road Warrior is more than just that cheesy 80s film from your youth. It's of that era. It's as powerful a piece of visual storytelling as there is. I have a hard time thinking of a better, more efficient one.
There's not a lot of dialogue. I think it's Pappagallo and Gyro Captain that talk the most. It's like
probably, and that's because
humongous. Yeah,
that's because Gyro Captain's always trying to talk himself his way out of trouble, and Pappagallo's make speeches.
A leader. Yeah.
And so we meet, we see Under Siege. This is the first time we meet the true leader of the bad guys. We learn that Wes we haven't learned his name yet.
A lieutenant, is a dog of war.
Dog of war.
Yep. So
we see the great Lord Humongous.
Yeah, which we will meet. We will get a proper introduction in a little bit. But meanwhile, Max and the Gyro.
You know what I noticed this time through, and I guess I should have always noticed this, but they have the poor pumping station people have that little pen that has like an alpaca in it and something else, that's off-site. And then later, during the boomerang scene, we see the kid hiding and stuff, and the animals in there all burnt to a crisp, and the fence broken and stuff.
No, I didn't remember that.
It's subtle.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many times I've seen it, and I really feel like I was noticing it for the first time. But it makes sense. It makes sense that if they were going to set that up and George was going to show us that he would show us something else, the aftermath of it. Like there would be some sort of visual payoff to it, and there is.
What poor planning on the part of the. Well,
they made themselves a decent fortress given the circumstances, right? Although I don't think it bears out close inspection. I think the gate is really well designed and stuff, but the fence around the sides, like this,
it's nothing.
There's not much to it to really keep these guys back if they all just stormed it.
But you had chickens and pigs. You could have kept the other animals in the main fortress.
Well, that's
whatever.
I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying you see those, and then you do see that the bad guys just murdered them and burnt them and left them there to rot. And that's really mean.
They could have eaten them, at least,
So they have a little bit of dinner, which is a great little scene because the pecking order,
the Dinky D dog food. You know what Dinky D means in Australian?
Genuine or something like that.
Genuine is what you would say, but you're correct. Which is, so it's implied that the dog food is made from dog, is the pun basically.
And
it's not a brand of dog food. It's a made up thing that is a joke that if you're not in Australia, you probably don't understand. Nevertheless, full of personality.
But yeah, Max eats first, dog eats second. And then Gyro Captain gets the last little,
it is a delightful
so sad.
Sequence. It's so delightful, and the dog's reaction.
Bruce with his little spoon.
Well, no, that he takes it out and is like, and then the dog says absolutely.
Well, the dog waking up when it hears the can opening, and then Gyro Captain wakes up, and they're both just sitting there waiting to get the scraps.
This is the other thing this last thing. It's like the dog's laying on his back, then opens it up. But before he looks to the thing, he turns to check on Gyro Captain and then turns back to wait for the food. It's so... it's like, again, I'm sure, there's 80 different takes of him not doing it, but it's so perfect. He's doing his job first, and then he's ready for food. It's so great.
I believe that dog went on to win a Bark Academy Award.
I wouldn't doubt it.
But so the next morning they wake up, and they wake up to 4 cars bolting out of the trying to go in 4 different directions, I guess, to I guess on a suicide mission just to see if they can
well, we find out later that they're scouts that they've probably done this before, and that they've found their way out. They talk about this bridge that you come to and all this stuff. So they've got sort of an escape plan, and when there's these, and this is very clever because you watch it and you can see the plan in place, and the plan is rough and ruthless. They send 3 cars out to get basically the attention of the bad guys who pulled away from the camp but are still basically right there camped out in front of the thing, and they chase after them. And there's one that waits until they're all on the move to sneak out and go another way. And again, nobody explains this to us. You just see it. You see it happen, and you understand that it's not by accident that it's happening this way. And from their high out, the kind of the perfect vantage point that they have, they follow all the chaos that's happening with these various cars. And when Max notices that one going its own way, we truly follow that through its whole sort of doomed journey.
Yeah. What actually makes it flip? Do you think Wes shot an arrow in the tire and that's what did it? Because it looks like it just flipped on its own.
I think that's it. I don't think that vehicle is designed to be in that kind of chase with the kind of cars that are going after it. So I think they just lost control of it, is my guess.
Yeah. Or Nathan's just a bad driver.
There could be
Nathan, man. Yeah. But he's not in a good situation, poor Nathan, But
well, it's like, I would argue the woman with him is in a worse.
Yeah.
But she gets really badly mistreated and murdered, and he gets beaten and tied up and left to die. And that guy, Mohawk
we sort of
see guy with that weird smile, man. Yeah, I don't think there's very few characters I've ever been like happier to see get just clubbed to death than that guy.
Yeah.
But again, weirdly kind of a callback to Mad Max, where there's a chase, a rape, a murder, and Brian May wasn't a murder.
Brian May's music here, which again, Brian May. I mean, he is not great because he's just so not subtle at all about anything. Michael talked about the love theme from the previous movie. I don't think that's too bad. I think back in '79 you watched that, and that love theme's actually probably pretty subtle. But Brian's just not a subtle guy. It's why he didn't turn these works, which are iconic, into a great movie career where he did tons of stuff, because you just don't want the all the time because it's too much. But here, with the Gyro Captain witnessing all this darkness and ugliness on our behalf and reacting to it on our behalf, and that music swelling, like it's larger than life in like a good way, in this case, in a way that really fits.
Well, I want to go back to what we were talking about with Gyro Captain earlier about the grimace. I have always read it as creepily, but humanly, I guess. Initially, he is kind of titillated.
Yeah.
And so I do take it as sort of a smile, and then it does go into, which is a wonderful way to show his humanity and his decency.
Yeah,
when he's seeing
a naked chick for the first time in a long time. I don't think he's like into rape, but it's all happening, and it's like, whoa,
that's that wonderful close up of him, like you said, his facial. It is so perfectly encapsulates what he's feeling and what kind of a person he is. It's a really nice piece of character building.
I would agree.
And
and it gives you, without telling you, it gives you, which certainly when we meet our other heroes in the compound, like there's a lot to love and sympathize with in there, each and every one. Even the most annoying ones have a sort of lovable thing about them. But this guy shows us why life should even be allowed to go on here, because there is humanity left, and that is what you live for. Or you become an animal, basically, become one of them, as Max said in the first movie.
So Max, upon seeing the woman getting raped and murdered, he bolts off. He takes off.
He sees it as his ticket into the compound. If there's,
he sees that as ticket into
works
a
out
compound.
that way.
And so he goes and gets Nate, who's still alive. It dispatches of
thank you.
Of,
he's
very
Mohawk. Honest. Don't thank me, man. I'm just here for the gas. Yeah, whatever. All you want.
We need our heroes, Max.
Just get me out of here.
So gets Nathan, brings him on in. The gyro captain, of course, still
and again
stuck up.
How the compound people's plan diverts the enemies. How it gives him an opportunity to get in there. How it clears the bad guys out of there so that he can take this moment to do this. Like it's like watching dominoes fall like in some glorious Japanese domino thing. Like each thing connects to the next thing, which I always think is so cool.
Absolutely. And so they get inside. So they get up there, shows him that he has Nate, and we meet this ragtag bunch of this family of people, community of people living in this oil refinery. And they of course they're, he has Nate and he's bringing Nate back to him, but they're no dummies. They bring him in and he's like, no, hey, look, that guy said I can have all the gas I want as long as I brought him back.
Yeah.
And again, he's very reasonable about it. Hey, I'm just, I had to deal with this man. I just want the gas and I'll go. Like, he's not like, I'm not here to cause you problems. I get that this stuff's precious to you, but here's the deal. You're your friend for some gas and I'm out of your hair. Isn't that fair? Like his whole demeanor is very calm and very, this isn't a fight. You can trust me. I'm not here to hurt anybody.
Give him nothing.
Papagallo. He's like, go get
who's
the
that?
car.
That's Warrior Woman says that, right? Yeah. What's Warrior Woman? What's the actress's name? Let's get some of these folks in there. Look at her.
I can't remember her name, but she's so visually fantastic and such a presence.
Have you ever seen her in Farscape?
No.
She's great on it.
She
had to leave the show early because she was painted in full blue body makeup. She played an alien in Farscape, and the makeup eventually started causing her problems, which is too bad.
Virginia, hey.
Really great. And I mean, I don't know how great a performance it is, but it just is really memorable, fully realized within what she has, and really physical and powerful performance from her.
Yeah, I agree. She's
even her. I was wrong about you, and it's just like, and he's kind of like, no,
whatever.
But her, who's the guy with the whatever venereal disease on his face or whatever, with the curly hair, that guy I love. I don't know what he's called.
No, the one that says, "We'll never leave, we'll never give up."
His whole. Like
the
he's
big
just
buggy-eyed guy.
Yeah, he's just full on panic.
That might
all the
be.
Time.
I don't have any pictures here for these guys, but he could be either Zeta or Curmudgeon. Probably is Curmudgeon.
I doubt he's Curmudgeon. He's not very curmudgeon.
I mean, moving ahead, Nate doesn't make it. Right?
Yeah. Nate doesn't make it right in this scene. We're not even moving that far ahead. He's dead, and Papagallo, played by the great Mike Preston, says,
"Oh, he's so good.
If you had a deal, your deal died with him."
Yep.
Right. And then,
even that has a sort of honor to it. Like, it's sorry, this, you know how it goes. Like, there's an understanding between them. You talk to this man. You talk to this man. He keeps saying, he's dead. He's dead. It's so melodramatic, but it's so awesome. Meeting all these people for the first time.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's fun.
But we don't get much time. They don't even have time to dispatch of Max or go through his car.
Yeah, the bad guys, they do take the time to wheel his car in before closing the gate.
So
we taking off the be ashamed to blow it up.
The
dynamite off. Yep.
The
dog, you'll
paraplegic mechanic on a crane has found off screen.
They try to go to the dog, and Max is like, "Oh hell no!"
Yeah,
it's like I love watching that sequence.
That's so great that the way he protects that dog. It's really great, dude. I mean, you don't think much of it when we were kids, but now that we know who this character is, like his "you are not going to hurt my dog," like he is throwing himself in front of it, because everything we've seen him do is selfish, and uber cool, and that's a moment of real vulnerability for him. I love it. Yeah, and I love when Humongous and the crew come back with the guys strapped to their cars and stuff, and being crucified and tortured, and the where you see the chickens freaking out, that great tracking shot of the jackrabbit running throughout the compound, all the chaos and all the visuals. It's really, really powerful. And then, of course, the speeches, first by Toady.
Here we go.
Toady played by...
From the Humongous.
Yep, greetings from the Humongous.
Played by the legendary Australian actor Mike Phipps. When we did our Ozploitation episode, we talked, it wasn't part of the countdown, but we talked briefly about Sky Pirates. Sky Pirates, I want to like it. I really want to like it, and it's just not very good. But one great thing that gets you through is Max Phipps' villain in that is super funny and entertaining, and that really, really helps. He is fantastic, and we'll talk a little bit more about him in his big moment. But this speech, the Ayatollah of Rock and Roll. I mean, he's worthless. You can tell he's not a fighter. All he is Humongous's hype man. He's his PR agent.
He's the admin assistant.
He's executive administrative assistant.
Assistant. Yeah. And
his running around, because we probably won't talk about it, but his running around after his accident, trying to find somebody who
someone to give him a ride,
take him with us. So again, this little character who does almost nothing.
But it's the thing. It's like when you're watching him give his speech, and he's got this kind of half dippy smile. I mean, they're all insane, but it's
so when he you can see him think of Ayatollah of Rock and Rolla, look back at his boss before he says it, and the pleasure he takes from having said it. It all happens right there on screen. Max Phipps is dynamite.
I know jumping ahead a little bit, but with the whole, which I wish the figure didn't have all of these digits, but
that would be funny.
The fact that everyone laughs at what happens to him and then he laughs along is
that's maybe my favorite moment in the whole movie. If I'm being honest, yeah, okay, I guess that is pretty funny.
It's pretty funny.
He doesn't say that, but that reaction is so weird. Yeah,
because we're introduced to Feral Kid. Right?
Well, it's all happening right now, so let's walk through it. Humongous. Humongous says, "Hey, you're brave scouts. What the hell, Joel? I guess I'm sorry. I'm doing your job."
Yeah. He tells him, "Hey, look, I know you're out there trying to find something that you can haul all this oil away in, all this gasoline in, and but here's the deal. I'm not a mean dude. I'm a reasonable dude." And
he doesn't really say that. He says we've all lost some and blah, blah, blah. I'm taking every drop of what you have and every inch of what you.
But he's not. Yeah, he's not without compromise. That's what he says. He's not without
compromises. Exactly.
And he can just to walk away.
And he says,
"Walk away with your lives. We don't need to kill you. Just walk away."
Yep.
Just walk away.
It's also notable that this is where the Feral Kid is introduced with his razor-edged boomerang, and Golden Youth does not survive that.
Yeah, Emil Minty pops out.
We haven't gotten to him sneaking out, but the Feral Kid, a little kid that runs around in a loincloth in the camp and just grunts. He doesn't even speak. He never speaks. He just grunts. Has a little tunnel system that he navigates that brings him free of the compound and out into the world. And he shows up there. He does what's a cooler weapon to have in the post-apocalypse Australia than a razor-sharp boomerang? It's I can't think of anything. Only thing would be like a robot kangaroo that lasers came out of its eyes or something. I mean, it's just like, it's so perfect. And it embraces the cliche of the place and yet gives it this great agency within the story. Everything about it is fun. So the kid comes out, he starts whipping his boomerang around.
Yep, and takes out the golden child or whatever his name is.
At first it just and it's funny because Wes, who's as badass a villain as there is in this, he ducks and misses the first one, and then the kid has to catch it, and he throws it again, and Wes ducks again and misses it, and when he ducks, it hits his lover, Golden Youth.
There he is, very handsome,
really grizzly, just in the face. Just
it's Sluck. It's like
another moment where in Mad Max where you don't see the violence. They don't show it to you. They show you. You watch it. It's woo, woo, woo. You feel the impact, but you don't see it. You just see him fall over, and that's because there's no shot with it going into his head.
You hear a nice you hear it.
So you get the full impact of it, but it's all kind of in your brain where you're imagining it happening. It's very, very clever. And Golden Youth lying there, this beautiful boy. I don't know how to explain this without being pervy and weird, but this Wes is clearly his love of his life. With this windswept, feathered 80s hair and his sort of those dead eyes that have almost an innocence to them, but he never really smiles or anything.
Well, I think it's worth
he's
noting.
Like a sassy runway model in this world somehow.
But I think what's so cool about these things is what we've been talking about. Even these little minute characters, you're getting a little something out of them. By Wes's reaction to this, you get obviously that they were a couple and obviously loved each other or whatever. And so it's, and it's this villainous character who we've already seen as psychotic, ripping his own arrow out of his arm with a little grunt. And now we see this other side. And I think that's kind of the bonus that you get all throughout this. Every one of these little characters, even Gyro's girlfriend later, everyone gets something. Yep. Even if it's just the smallest little thing. And I think that's what makes it such a richer experience. They're not just blank faces. And obviously everyone is so particularly costumed and coiffed and everything. So everyone has a specific look, but I don't know. I think that's something you don't necessarily get in a big action movie like this anymore. It's like, you don't get those little insights.
Well, I think they don't really take the time to tell story between the lines. Today's directors don't really do that very well. And if they do, I mean, think of J.J. Abrams. We talked about it when we talk about the Star Wars sequels, blah, blah, blah. People never shut up. They explain everything all the time. They're always explaining what's happening, and they never, ever shut up, and nothing ever, ever happens between them quietly. And you don't care, because those movies, as far as jabbery movies, are really fun, and they're the dialogue is good, but you don't know what you're missing when they don't even try and give you stuff like that. This movie, of course, is loaded with it in every scene. I don't even require modern filmmakers to do that much, but those little connections, all that little stuff, all the just like the alpacas, all the stuff, like where everything you see it, and then you see how it plays out. You see that among all these guys. Yeah, it's totally great. So Wes pulls the boomerang out. He's in rage. He throws the thing back at the kid, but Wes obviously can throw a boomerang hard, but isn't used to throwing them. You got to do it in a certain way. They're like really complicated frisbees, where they just do their own thing. And it zooms around, and the kid goes to catch it, but he can't quite. It doubles back and everything. And poor Toady, I got it. He's here to save the day. And of course, just like Kundalini before him, and another guy at the end who has a brilliant idea to attach his dune buggy to this giant rig. Like all these guys who's like, here, we're going to do this. It just turns out to be the goddamn dumbest things that you've ever seen in your life. He jumps up to catch the razor boomerang, and of course it lops off his fingers.
Well, it's a great detail on the feral kid, which you even got on the figure here. He's got this weird glove, which, just looks like part of his deal, but it's actually something that allows him to catch it without slicing himself.
Yep, it's
Right.
exactly. It's a little falconer's glove that he uses to throw his sharp boomerang. It's fantastic.
This is one of my favorite
and
sequences.
the kid doing the backflip
Yeah,
when he gets him.
but Toady.
But
man.
like you said, the best part of this, and we already said it, but let me just quick say it again. Hit the laughing. Everybody thinks it's funny when Toady loses his fingers, and even Toady, because he's such a crowd pleaser, even he has to admit, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
He's like, okay, that's pretty funny. Yeah, it's just what a pathetic creature that guy is.
I will say my favorite sequence, my favorite part of this sequence is the fact that Wes goes absolutely berserk, but you find out why the Humongous is the leader of this, because he's like, no, we do it my way. This is my plan, and chokes him out, puts him to sleep.
Yes.
Because he's so berserk, and like, so he's willing to do this to his top henchman. Like, no. That's the message that it sends. It's like, no. If we're gonna do this, we do it right. We do it my way. We follow the plan. And it's like, I've given him 24 hours, and Pat makes him pass out and said, take him away.
But the whole time he's talking to him in this loving way. I understand.
My dog. I know my dog of war. I know you want to. We've all lost someone. Yeah, and
you will have your revenge. At the right time or whatever. It's like.
Do you know what struck me so much?
It's weirdly cradling the way.
It's great. It's a great sequence to show that this is the guy of everyone in this post-apocalyptic thing. He's thinking things through.
That's not
this crazy
goose, Michael,
band.
by the way, that's not the goose.
What's that?
That's not the goose.
I know, but I'm saying it's like I never noticed the throbbing vein in his head.
Oh, that was great. That was another great little.
Wait a minute! I looked in and I'm like, it's like.
Yeah, that was cool too. It was that was a fun sequence. So anyway, so they get so they're they say, you got 24 hours, out of here, see you. So they go back to their little camp. And the people of the compound, they some of them think, hey, this guy's a man of his word. He has done nothing.
Who I always thought was probably the curmudgeon. I'm not sure.
Oh, he's the curmudgeon.
The old guy dressed as the general, in the General Patton outfit.
Yep.
I can talk to this Humongous. He's a reasonable man.
Yep. He has done nothing to make anyone think that he was
just right out of Logan's Run. They're all like, they're terrified. These people are effing terrified, and they're acting with that instinctually. And it is only the strong, reasonable among them that are able to hold. And I really like Preston as Papagallo. He talks him down. He's like, look, wait. We can go out there. We can do with what? What life awaits for us without the stuff that we've worked for? He has a point, but at the same time, you do feel the hopelessness in his. Well, but there's basically mutiny within the ranks of the compound. People are like, let's do it. Let's take him up on it. In the meantime, Max has found a little thing, and he's picked his handcuff loose.
Oh, that's a great little sequence. Is him just casually like, okay.
And at the end of this big debate amongst all these guys, he's two days ago, I saw a rig that'll tow that tanker. You want to get out of here?
You talk to me.
With the fingers.
We also get, this is the moment where Feral Kid comes on over to check on him, and
Max he's showing off his boomerang.
Yeah, show off his boomerang.
He's got the blood, the hair and stuff. Oh my god!
Yeah, Max gets out the little happy. I mean,
I didn't know Golden Youth, but I didn't know him. But he really didn't deserve it. Of all the bad guys, what did we see him do?
The music box is such an interesting connection between him and the Feral Kid. It does bring in, obviously, having all of us seen this prior to Mad Max, but now knowing what it was with Sprague and what his relationship was, there's such an extra weight to this introduction. There's so much extra there, because you got to assume Feral Kid is probably about the age that Sprague would have been by this point.
Sure.
So
you don't know, but it's reasonable to assume that that's about right. He's more grown.
Yeah, because feral
It's
kid's
a,
like what?
and
Six,
by
seven?
contrast, Sprague was such a cute, innocent kid living a reasonably decent life up until that point.
Yeah.
And this kid is sort of the kid that grew up in the apocalypse, which is what Sprague would have been. Yeah, and he's not a person. He's
and here's
more of an animal than Max's pet is, really.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna disagree with the plot synopsis I've been using here to walk us through. It says that Max carelessly throws the toy to him, and I don't think there's anything careless about.
No,
the fact
not
that
at all. He plays it.
To him.
As a matter of fact, it's the opposite of careless, and it's demonstrated to be so because he plays it for him right up until the last phrase, "A happy birthday." Then he does the little fake out to make sure he knows it's coming. Like that's not to dink around with him; it's so that he knows he's going to toss it to him.
You know what it is. And it is, and I only say this just because I'm the only parent here. That's what you do as a dad. Is like you ready?
Yeah,
you know, so that they like, okay, it's coming, and then you toss it. That's what you do as a dad, as a parent.
His playing the thing out of time, the final phrase, and like the reaction of the joy of this weird animal kid.
That's what makes this movie so special. And I think a lot of people that are just looking at it as an action film, which that's majority of what it is, but it's so fascinating to me to have these wonderful tiny, because they don't overdo it. They never do overdo anything in this film other than the action, which is what it's supposed to do. But this little moment of humanity, the little moment of humanity with the gyro captain, all of these little things, they don't dwell on it. They give it to you, and it gives you humanity in spades without taking more than 3 seconds of screen. It's so, what's the term that you've used in other stuff, Ryan? It's uses its time wisely. What's the term? But
efficient.
It's efficient.
Efficient. That's exactly what I wanted. But it's like I love that it does this, and it doesn't have to. You know, we're here for the action. I think most people would be like, yeah. And I bet most film are.
And it's funny how many films came after it that just flat out didn't get it.
Yeah,
just flat out didn't get what's great about this movie. Like they just didn't get it. They thought it was the Mohawks and the crossbows and the cars, which it is, but they just didn't ever even attempt to, even in a cheesy knockoff way, capture any of this great stuff that's in this thing.
Definitely.
And so, it's just why it's one of a kind. It's why it's the best film of this kind, this bar none. So yeah, we got to get up and move on with the plot. So the deal is I'm going to take 10 gallons of diesel and some high octane gasoline out. You're going to walk out into the wasteland. I'm going to get the rig. I'm going to bring it back. You're going to give me my car and all the fuel I can carry. Deal done.
Yep.
And how can they say no to that? This is what they've been sending their people out to die for, is to find this thing to get the gas out of here so that they can cross that bridge into the Northern Territories and find a beach somewhere where all this
nothing
chaos,
to do but breathe.
Something outside the wasteland. Exactly.
Yeah.
They've got the postcards.
And they'll appreciate the business.
They're basically looking for Tomorrowland.
They really are.
Early.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, very much so.
Where they'll appreciate the business. So they set out on foot. So they take him up on the deal. Max goes out. He's got the cans on a big old stick, and
he bumps into his buddy, the gyro captain, who in the next shot we see him carrying the cans on a stick.
Well, but before that, he stumbles, makes some noise as he's nearing Humongous's camp.
That's right.
And feral kid saves the day, comes in, distracts him by doing a coyote call. So then Max gets up to gets back, and there's gyro captain dragging the log that he was chained to, and
even the music cue here.
What does gyro captain say? He's like, I can't remember. He made some exasperated thing that he says when he sees him too. It's so
hell.
Yeah.
And he hears the dog. He hears dog first.
Of course.
And he stops and he's like, hell. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they make their way back, and they get back to the gyrocopter. And the gyrocopter was discovered by somebody else, but Guard Snake Guard Snake for the win. Took
Kind
care
of.
him.
Guard Snake had to sacrifice his life in the encounter.
Well, that's true.
Because there's the great fight with Gyro Captain and the dog over the snake carcass.
It's my snake. Get your own snake.
It's my.
Yep.
I trained him. I'm going to eat him.
Eat him.
Yep.
And the dog just. It's like it is not
Yep.
giving up on the idea of eating this snake. That's the whole.
and
The two
hey,
dumb sidekicks fighting it out while Max is going about the business of the day is
Yeah.
it's just so great. That scene is fantastic.
Well, he finds on the dead guy that got attacked by the snake, he finds a couple of shotgun shells.
Yep.
One
of
isn't
which
working,
sort of
one that's
disintegrates in his hand, and then he cocks open the empty shotgun and puts the shell in, and Gyro's response to it. What all this time?
It's dishonest.
Mhm.
Oh. So Joel, he is calling out Max as a low man in this scene.
He's a low man. So then, but it
shows you how badass Max is too. That encounter with the Gyro Captain, all things aside, it's kind of nice to know it's not loaded. But the way he yanks that thing out when Wes is about to come at him and just stands there cold, with really nothing to protect himself, it's impressive.
Yep.
So now Max has,
And it makes shotgun shells a MacGuffin in the movie all of a sudden that becomes something as we get to the end. It becomes something multiple times before the movie's over.
Yep, definitely.
So they take the gyrocopter, they fly to where the semi truck is. They get the truck started, and finally Max says, okay, unchains him, takes the shackles off, but gets in with the dog and is gone. But Gyro Captain, he sees a friend.
Hey, we're partners.
Partners. So Max needs to somehow still get back into the refinery. So he is essentially like, well, I'm gonna take him by surprise. I'm just gonna haul ass on in.
This is Papagallo says it later, and it's a very famous quote. The Mad Max movies quote a former Prime Minister of Australia several times, and this isn't the first, but this is the one where everyone who in Australia knows this term, and it's we're either going to crash or crash through, and that is Max's method here to getting the tanker into the compound. There's not, he can't really wait around. He can't look for his window. He can't be sitting out nearby in a tanker like he can hide up on a hill. He has to just go for it and be a badass, and he gets that thing through.
Yeah, he's got the one shotgun shell.
Huh?
And he's got the one.
Yeah, the shotgun. He's got it all perfect in his sights, and he's going to do it. And the two shotgun shells he picked up both were worthless in different ways.
This is something so interesting.
That handgun.
That's what I was just going to say.
That humongous pulls out.
This is what's so cool to me, and I never have seen this, or I missed it, or something.
Yeah.
There's a family photo in the gun case, and I never have seen that. And I was so floored by that. It looks like it's probably his parents.
Next time you watch Mad Max, I know you like to make use out of the money you spent on that DVD, but next time you watch Mad Max, Mike, I implore you to stream it in 1080p, because it's not just a different experience watching it in high definition. The 1080p transfer desaturates all that, which kind of takes a little of the personality out of it. That really cool, blinding sort of brown and golden wash that's over the whole film. It removes that so that you can see everything in a way that you've never seen before. And as you were saying, I don't think you've ever seen it that way. And the next time you watch it, I highly, highly recommend either. That Blu-ray costs $7.99. You can grab that for almost nothing.
Well, I'll never watch it again. I don't care for this film.
Yeah, that's true.
or stream it, but it's different. They both have their pluses, because I miss the desert film processing.
Sepia,
But when they sepia-ized version of it, but when they took that out, every grain of sand, every plant, the dog collar, the photo you're talking about, the burnt animals that I just noticed. Like, you really see stuff for the first time. So I recommend that to you, but specifically, but to everybody, because yes, again, we talked about it last show. This character was conceived. They abandoned it in the writing process. So but it was conceived to be the return of Goose, which was what he's not the Goose joke, which nobody got but me, unfortunately, recently, if you rewind about 20 minutes.
It'd be hilarious if you rewind it.
Yeah, it's funny now. No, it wasn't funny to begin with. It's cool. Look, but the point is, this was conceived as that sort of, he discovered this guy from his past, and they were to make this connection. So the picture of the family, Goose didn't even have a family, but it's the remnants of the idea that this was a person.
Yes.
Right.
This was a person. They were all, the people their age were all alive when it wasn't like this. And it's very,
well,
very,
it's kind of a call out, an early call out to Anti-Entity. Like, there's something, because you get a little history of her, and it feels like it's like, yeah, these are tyrants, but they were people. They are people, and there's something intriguing about that.
How else to be in charge in this world than to be a tyrant? No offense to Papa Gallo, but how else would you do it?
So let me. This is from the Mad Max wiki. The photograph of the couple appears to be from the World War I era, 1914 to 1918. The man is wearing a British officer field uniform, and the woman wears fashions common around 1916 to 1920. There are 2 silver medals, possibly service medals, 2 Commonwealth Service Stars, a large Prutton Totenkopf, which is the gun, and an Australian Military Forces uniform insignia, amongst others. It does say that also in his gun case, blah, blah, blah. And it also has his weapons have Nazi and Australian military insignia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm getting goosebumps listening to this description.
This is insane.
What?
And the photo could be his
detail.
grandparents. Yeah. The photo could be his grandparents or great grandparents.
But you know what? The other thing that
that's just stunning. Thank you, Joel. That really is stunning. Amazing. It shows you how much care went into every shot in this film.
But the fact that it's
because you see that for 2 seconds,
it's so pristinely clean inside that case is just an extra.
The velvet and the fact that you see he's definitely running out of bullets. Every bullet has to count.
Yes. He has like 10 left, and he does a direct shot into the grill of the. I mean, the fact that you see steam immediately is like, this is not good, folks. Yeah.
No, the big sight on it. I mean, the whole sequence is delightful. The fact that Max has a plan to counter this that doesn't work.
And what about the poor guy that gets crushed while he's working on a car?
That is really sad. And honestly, I know he's a bad guy, but the guy with the pink beard in the pink car who gets lit aflame.
Yes.
I feel bad for that guy.
Yeah, well, his car was kind of cool, but
his car was cool, and he's super into pink, and it's almost like we only see this dude for 2 seconds, but he's just got that, oh shit, I gotta get out of here look on his face. I just feel like that guy is like a poser. I mean, he's with these bad guys, but he's like, well, what can I do? I guess I'll just be the pink guy.
The pink guy. Well, but okay, so Gyro Captain comes in, throws a snake on one of the people attacking Max. Max gets into the compound, but 3 vehicles come in behind him. Yep. Before they close it off, and then they have to.
And then the flamethrowers, the arrows, everything's going.
You get Wes makes it into the compound too on the truck.
That slide down the tarp with the chaps.
With the chaps, and not only that, and you see this repeated in Fury Road, which we'll talk about someday. But that the light on a stick that he uses to
get out,
pole vault out of the camp. I mean, all the stunts and
Papa
his
Gallo
whole, shot. Roll, get up, growl. It's all
when
perfect.
He headbutts a guy, kills him. It's the wide-eyed guy. I will never give up. That guy.
He doesn't kill him though. He just headbutts him.
No, he's dead later.
Yes, but not of the headbutt.
I don't know, because you see an indentation in his head of his corpse.
Oh, is that right?
Okay. Yeah, like when Max wakes up later, but Papa Gallo gets shot in the leg with an arrow.
Yep. With an arrow.
And basically this whole thing just infuriates Humongous, and he's like, "You're screwed."
Well, because now his leverage it's not gone exactly, but it is greatly diminished now that they've got the truck.
But
they need.
they defied him, So
And I already said it, but just because it happens here, what does Wes say to Max on his way out of the compound?
you can run, but you can't hide.
You can run, but you can. Wes is a man of even less words than Max, so it's worth quoting him when he speaks.
Yep.
No.
Sorry, I'm just absolutely getting.
Is this where you disobey me, you puppy? Comes because that's probably my favorite line in the film.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that is a good one. I believe that is.
I say that. This just
you disobey
this
me.
way to Michael's heart, Michael. I say that all the time, every day in my everyday life, constantly. I say it all the time.
Shut up.
No, but I really do. This is one, I don't do it quite like you guys where it's every movie all the time, constantly. But this is one where you disobey me, you puppy. I say that all the time. I say it to people in traffic.
I say one of the lines later on a daily basis, the juice line. So
that's a good
I'm sorry, Joel. Go ahead. Sorry.
No,
Sorry, Joel.
I'm absolutely no. You guys can talk amongst yourselves. I am absolutely riveted by some of the stuff in here about Humongous. So in the so we get this, they go off and we see the camp and we see the dudes. They're crucifying the dudes, and Humongous is like gesticulating and blah 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 blah. Apparently,
and again, Brian May, who I'm never very complimentary of, his music during the torture, burning, flaying scene is like it's really Bernard Herrmann.
I had to turn the volume down on that sequence.
It's
so
really
apparently during all of that, Humongous is giving the speech that he's giving. Apparently, he's reciting the poem by Goethe entitled Der Erlkönig. It depicts the death of a child assailed by a supernatural being, the king of the elves. That's so.
He does speak
again,
with
that
like
goes to that German,
with a weird German accent.
In reality,
who's the actor? We didn't name him.
Kjell Nilsson. Yeah. And in reality, Kjell was just swearing up a storm because it was very cold that night.
Well, and notice we hear his Notice we hear his voice without his somehow through the loudspeaker without his thing. Which normally we would go, no, and mistake, but
continuity.
You don't care. You don't care.
Anyway,
matter of fact, it almost makes it cooler. It's like it gives this unreality to it that is magical and
before
legendary.
we move forward, it has to be mentioned that Gyro Captain also landed in the compound, and everyone's intrigued.
Gyro Captain is there now.
And again, tons of character interactions. Gyro Captain and Feral Kid, while the Feral Kid's like touching the boomerang part of the gyro, and
those are precision instruments.
Yeah, go shoot, don't touch, and go and. He gets all upset about it, and the general curmudgeon guys are like, "Oh, this craft of yours, it can take two, eh?" And he looks at what's her full name, Arky's name, the blonde woman
with the pigtail on top.
Yeah, from Razorback.
Give me. I believe it's just Captain's Girl is what her.
Yeah, Captain's Girl is what they call her. Yeah. But what's the actress's? What's Arky's last name?
Sorry, Arky Whitley.
Arky Whitley. Okay. I love Arky Whitley. Read about her on your own time. She lived a really, really interesting life and died really, really way before her time. She's adorable in this, as you'd expect. She's one of the innocents sort of among this crew, and you get that's why their survival feels so impossible. But that look that he gives her when he's answering Curmudgeon's question, but that look that he gives her, possibly, and she does that kind of
and
like,
of course
he means me. It's just it's adorable. Immediately. And the way we ship people in today's media, like, we don't need much encouragement. So all we need is a look like this. But it gives it to us, and now we want those two to go off and rule the world,
Yes.
right?
Oh,
and that's a cool feeling. That wanting something like that in the heart of this movie after this torture, or before the torture scene and stuff, is like, it's cool.
Yep. So forgot about so Disobedient Puppy actually comes a little bit later. Because what happens is of course deal is
with a half
done.
hour to go. We better start condensing some of this
that's
anyway.
That's where I'm going. But the deal is done, and so Max is like, no, later, y'all, and Papagallo is like, no, you I think you should drive the tanker.
The way they greet him as their savior too when he comes back, right?
Yep.
Oh, what's her face brings him the shotgun shells. I've been saving
Thank you.
these.
You're welcome.
Says.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he's like, and he doesn't take them because that's not. I'm not doing this. It's like I'm not going to keep your shells. I'm not going to. Hey, it's been pleasure doing business with you.
Well,
even
I'm
Feral
sorry,
Kid.
Go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
I was going to say, even Feral Kid is like, no, you're my big guy now. And
Feral Kid's accepted that he's leaving, but he decides he's going to go with him, packs his stuff, and throws it in the car.
That whole sequence is heartbreaking.
And Max is like, nope, bye. Don't let the door hit
I want to ask you guys this question, just overall. I know we got to push forward, but does Papagallo, to the team, has the tanker already been set up for what we eventually find out? That's been probably set up for months, right?
I don't know.
Because the way that they're talking,
I mean, there's no evidence in the movie. I get your question is. Let's theorize about it.
He does keep saying the plan.
The grand plan.
There is the plan, the grand plan. So it could absolutely be this was always the plan.
Exactly, but then it makes sense that they'd try and have Max take that hit. But then it also because if they already know this, let's get Max to do it. Yeah. But at the same time, it decreases them a little bit. It's like they're willing to, which makes sense, but it also makes them kind of less than favorable.
Well, I don't know how many of them are in on it at this point of the story. I think Papagallo has the plan probably in place, absolutely, at this point.
No, but if they were taking days to fill that.
But how much of a plan could he have? Because I think he's had to have an alternate plan to get the fuel out this whole time, which is where I think what they ultimately do comes from. I don't think it's some Machiavellian genius move on his part. I think it comes out of
the amount of planning required. It says that it's already done.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. It absolutely has to have already been done.
That's a good point. Because just to move the required elements from one thing to another would have to be already in place, and it would be hard to live in the compound and not know what was going on. Yeah. So that's thought out. Yeah. Yep.
Max is like, nope. See you, pals.
And even in the end, which is jumping ahead, when he volunteers, he doesn't know. He's the only one who doesn't know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Maybe Gyro Captain doesn't know. Probably. But only the outsiders don't know what's going on.
Yeah, unless Captain's girl, unless she tells them. But anyway, so Max takes off. He's Audi 5000, and it doesn't quite go the way Max planned.
This sequence, which we don't have to talk, we only talk about the one key detail in the sequence. But what I love about this sequence is that he leaves is over in a flash. Like the whole. Everything he's been working for, his whole goal, his goat sheet is torn up and burnt right in this moment in its entirety. And just like that, I always thought, again, efficiency is storytelling and like the brutal efficiency of living in this kind of world too.
Well, there are two key points, not just one. The car is destroyed, which is heartbreaking on its own. And then what happens next with the dog is just, it's horrifying.
He wobbles, still a fighter to the end, but he wobbles out of the car accident, half shaped and greatly diminished, and he does what he can, but he can't save his dog, who was murdered heartlessly and unceremoniously before his eyes.
Off screen, thankfully.
Off screen, but with the dog yelp, with the arrow, with the crossbow going into it. And again, it's the way the bad guys do it. It's dog. we are invested in this dog, and they're the whatever the opposite of invested is. It's just a thing in their way.
Well, they also set off, of course, the booby trap, so the car is done.
Yeah,
and that shot, watch it in slow motion next time. That shot of the toady exploding into pieces. It's a trick shot, but it's great. Yeah, it's really awesome.
Gyro really, Captain,
because it's not really that, but the way it achieves your thinking you saw that is a really clever piece of filmmaking.
Gyro Captain sees the smoke. Knows like, okay, that's probably not good.
That's the hell.
And but hops in the copter and is able to get Max and haul him back.
But hey, the dog and the car both go out, saving our hero's life.
Yep, absolutely they do. And so Max wakes up in the infirmary.
I know I don't want to gloss over too fast, Joel, but that shot of him flying in, unbelievable, really good shot.
I mean, there's nothing special about it. It's just a camera on the gyro with him hanging off the side.
But everything happening below them is crazy.
And you don't know you don't quite know what you're looking at first, and then you do, and it's Sorry, I'm not disagreeing that it's stunning. I'm just saying anyone could do it who could fly that thing. It's not special filmmaking. It's just he had the idea to put the camera where he did.
It's just a smart moment.
It's really fantastic.
Smart moment.
Fantastic. So, thank you for remembering that, Michael.
Yeah, Feral Kid comes in and he's like, "Hey, buddy, here's your stuff." Because Feral Kid knows that Max ain't gonna just lay there while all this was going on. And the plan is, of course, to get the tanker driven by Pappagallo. It leaves first to draw all the attackers and allowing the rest of the people to escape in another direction.
And that scene where he says, I want to drive the. He goes, no more deals, or what? He goes, no, it's no deals. I want to drive the truck. He says, I love that line. And they're all like, well, you look at you can't even do this. And he goes, Pappagallo, that great line. Yeah, you should really look at yourself, man. You don't look good. And Max is just steely eyed. Just cut the crap. We both know I'm your best shot, he says.
Best shot, yeah.
And of course, Pappagallo, then all the talking stops, and he's just like, yeah, you're right. Let's cut the crap. He just hands him the shotgun shells, puts his gun back in his hand. I mean, I love that moment because it is like the recognition, the cut the crap line, which as a cliche or whatever, but that it really is stop effing around. Stop effing around. You know I'm the best shot. And Gallo's like, silent acknowledgement that all of this was crap is fantastic.
No, but what I love about Pappagallo in that moment, it kind of goes to my theory of that he's playing that moment like, no, you're not good. When in essence, he's going to be like, of course I'm going to give this to you because I'm not going to take the fall.
Well, he does take the fall. He goes out with the tanker, not with the people.
But he's not driving the tanker, which is ultimately the bait.
But he's not driving the tanker because he knows he's not as good a warrior or a driver. It has nothing to do with who's getting sacrificed in this moment, Michael. You think it's way more ruthless than it is. They don't tell him what they're setting him up for.
I don't know, but Pappagallo knows. So he knows what is going down. So there's that weird pause you're talking about.
But him and the mechanic and the warrior woman go with the tanker. That's important. They're the bait. They're all the bait.
Mm-hmm.
They're all the bait. They're right there with them. They might as well be sitting next to him in the truck.
And Gyro Captain. So
I'm just saying it's not nefarious as you say, but it is.
I don't think it's nefarious. It
is sneaky and ruthless. It is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And to survive in this world, I mean.
And we can't gloss over real quick, and then I'll shut the hell up. Is the
no, you won't.
figuring out what is wrong with the truck scene that we kind of went past that we were talking about earlier,
which we were talking about before we aired.
That's a good moment. Yeah,
but that exchange and those deliveries are just fantastic.
That took place in the Can the Gyro Take Two scene where we're circling around basically and checking in with everybody in the camp.
How long does it take to fix this? 24 hours. You got 12. Okay, yeah.
And the way the mechanic on the crane, like I said, he doesn't have the use of his legs. The way he heroically sort of saved somebody's life in a very clever way during this fracas that all happened there, and him and his assistant. It's not new to this, but that whole I'm saying something and you're repeating it to the captain of the submarine or whatever, like that. The use of that cliche in the most entertaining way. Yeah, and again, a tiny little character this is his only moment, the mechanic's assistant, brimming with personality, and a guy who you look forward to seeing every time you watch the movie. So
Can I also just really quickly throw in how many post-apocalyptic movies or any story apparently, there's no way anybody with any sort of disability could survive. This is a dude with a disability who has survived and made it and made himself a vital member of the community.
Yep. Every post-apocalyptic movie has one, right? A tinkerer who can make everything work. You need that, really. Yeah. And he's the guy, and that's been his survival technique, to be indispensable to the people around him.
Yes.
It's not said, it's just demonstrated, and again in the most simple and efficient way.
But that's why the movie's so good. We do not waste any time. Anybody can see that this is interesting and unique, and like, okay, we don't need to know everything. We get just enough. Yeah.
So as Ryan said, the tanker is off. It smashes through Humongus's lines. It's got Papagayo in an escort vehicle, Warrior Woman, mechanic, and another dude are on the thing guarding
Feral
it.
Kid is hiding out in between the cab and the tanker.
Kid, not supposed to be there, but he gets on board.
Wes is chained up and handcuffed to Humongus's the front of his thing right behind the hostage.
Right, because of his disobedience.
Because he's been a disobedient puppy by chasing after Max.
They're dead by this point. Those are corpses.
Are they?
Oh, I always thought that by this point they're dead.
They are not doing much at this point. They were pretty animated before, so you could definitely be correct. Either way, they're still there.
I thought I saw, though, in the moment when it smashes into the back of the tanker, though, I thought we get a quick shot of one of the dudes who's in front, and his eyes go, oh, like he knows he's
well, that's
gonna
even
bite
worse.
it.
Okay.
So he may, but I may have just been reading into that anyway. But they're often going. Meanwhile, and Humongus's crew takes the bait, like you said.
Maybe,
Wes is off.
It may be a little bit of this, a little bit of that, where one is still alive, but the other one isn't.
Could be. Wes is taken off the chain. He's let loose. Go get him.
I noticed this. One of the bad cops. We didn't really talk about them, and we're sort of out of time to talk about them, but. That guy, he appears in the film like 8 different times in different moments. He just keeps reviving and coming back into things. He's the guy who jumps in there and lets him loose, but Humongous helps him. Watch it carefully. Yeah. Humongous is like, let's get him to work. Like he assists him. I never noticed that. I always thought they were coming against Humongous's will to free their buddy, and they are. Yeah. But it's more than that. Humongous is like,
Humongous is like, go,
let's get into the fight.
Go get him, my gay boy.
That was another thing I noticed this time around, which is
gay daddy, gay leather daddy.
We get a lot of his yelling of. I might have to bleep myself on this, but when he yells at them that they're. Gay boy berserkers and smegma crazies. That's some of the stuff that Humongous yells at his own people.
Oh my god.
But anyway, they're off and they take the bait. Meanwhile, everyone else is able to leave on the bus.
Same way they did before. And he sees them, but he's like, F them, get the gas.
We need the fuel. We got the gas. And of course some other
few people stay behind to take over and secure the compound.
Yep. And that does not go well for them. That is, they of course booby trap that bad boy.
At the time, the largest outdoor explosion ever captured on film.
The fact that you see coming into the foreground.
You see coming into the foreground, the tires,
pipes and the tires, and
the way the sort of smoke and fire creep across the ground before they swell up into the air. Like that explosion is one of the most satisfying things in all of movies. It is so
yeah.
And from the same spot where we first were introduced to the compound, the exact same camera angle.
Yes,
it's so great. And again, the the ingenuity of it, the good guys thinking this through and not leaving anything behind for these bad guys to use for ill use is fantastic. Because they're all jumping around and they're like football pads and stuff, and they're all super happy. So
and so Wes kills Warrior Woman, takes care of
let's talk about real quick. So we got a little bit of time. I mean, we're doing good, but let's talk about what their plan is. You've got Warrior Woman and the mechanic up in these turrets that have been built into the top of the tanker. Warrior Woman's got the bow and arrow that we've seen her with and a bunch of arrows, and she's making pretty good use of them. Mechanic's got a bunch of gas that he's lighting on fire into Molotov cocktails, which until that goes bad on him, he's making very, very good use of. Watching these cars explode when hit by a Molotov cocktail again, it's riveting and exciting. This chase scene is as good as anything ever performed by anyone in a film.
I agree.
I can't.
But again, another little moment of humor. Another little moment of humor during this.
He sets his legs on fire.
He's like patting his hands on fire. Ah! He's like, I got it. It's all good. It's all good. It's great.
But both he and Warrior Woman go down trying to help the other.
Oh, that is rough, man. That whole sequence. Not only her getting, because you do like her, but then the fact that her
going under the tires is just.
And the other dude who's back there, gets a hook through his leg and is pinned to the thing.
I foreshadowed this, but one of the stupid dune buggy people throw a hook on a chain up, which connects. It goes through the guy's leg on the back of the tanker and into the little thing little platform he's built for himself. But the tanker's. It is what it is. It's super powerful. It starts dragging the dune buggy behind it like a can on the back of a wedding car. And
the crazy thing, though, is about this whole sequence. Every time I watch this, I'm shocked at how fast things go bad on the trucker, on the tanker. Like every time, I'm like, I can't believe they're gone. That's it. Yeah. It goes so fast, and it's like you think like, oh, this is going to be cool. It looks good. And I'm like,
this stuff's going to work. They've thought this out.
Yeah. It's never.
Michael always says, and this is the perfect example. Nothing is more thrilling than watching a group of people who have done the best they could, who have thought things through, who have not just been stupid for stupid's sake. Again, the guys throwing the hook into the back of the tanker accepted, but I mean, good guys, bad guys alike in the sequence are doing the best they can with what they have. They're being smart about it, and they're still failing. The obstacles put in front of them are still so insurmountable that there's tons of sacrifice and loss.
It doesn't matter what they plan for. It's not going to happen.
Some of it works, and then it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it's amazing how quickly Max is alone.
Yeah. So, it's just down to Max and Feral Kid, Max and Emil.
Well, and Papagallo, who once he sees Feral Kid.
And we got to say, Humongous.
Papagallo's driving the cock rocket car that they got when it followed the tanker into the compound, and with his hockey helmet on. And there's this great exchange between.
Oh, that look between them.
Yeah, which in a chase like this, where he's like, "What the hell, dude?" and Max just looks at him like, "Just don't ask me."
Well, because the door's been torn off the truck at this point, but that's one of my favorite moments in the film is that look that Max gives Papagallo.
Well, and what's Wes thinking? Jump. Like, what?
Yeah.
What? And then what's he going to do in your lap in the middle of this chase? Like, is that better than where he is? Like, in a way, it's like, in a way, it goes back to what Michael's suggesting. There is a nefarious nature to it. I know that guy's going down. He has to go down. I still maybe, I really don't think so, but I still maybe have a chance here. And Humongous is hurling these giant, I don't know what they are.
That's amazing. I don't know what they are.
That is the best ends or something. Like they're like the
guy comes with those,
They're like the tip of a harpoon, and he's like
it's like a trident. Like it's like some weird.
But his hit is right into Papagallo's back. Like there's no miss.
It's a perfect. Yeah, Humongous also shows that why he's the leader is because he is clearly an amazing warrior.
And Wes's gunner on the back of that tow truck takes out the gyro captain, and we see him get full of arrows in his engine and crash.
Yeah.
And now it really is Feral Kid and Max in the truck against the rest of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
This is, again, it's I find this chase scene so thrilling every single time. I agree with you, Ryan. This has to be one of the best chase scenes ever filmed. And the fact that it's all practical.
There are things that are more complicated and more amazing, but nothing. This they just did with cars and people, and cameras. I mean, that's what keeps it set apart from everything that comes later. Because there've been more elaborate things and some amazing things, but even the Indiana Jones movies, which are contemporaries of this, are brilliant, are using effects and mats and blue screen. This uses none of that. These are these people in these situations, and there's no faking it. And there's just no faking it. And that the reality, it just takes your breath away when you're watching it.
Well, I want to give a little sidebar. I know we got to wrap up soon, but it's like I used to play Road Warrior with my Star Wars figures as a kid. I had a little Tonka van, which then I used, and you know, what are those multi-bags of chips that you had as kids? The little cardboard box. I attached that to my Tonka van and made this thing and then decked it out with like spikes and shit. And then I literally was obsessed with this movie as a kid. So I was playing it with my action figures constantly. Like I built my own tanker.
Who was Max?
It must have been Solo. Had to have been Han Solo.
Okay, Han Solo probably had dark hair.
Yeah.
Who would have been Wes? Do you use who would have been Wes?
I don't know if I was using the particular characters. I think I was just playing Road Warrior World.
No, Boba Fett should have been Wes.
Boba Fett would be a good Wes. Anywho,
with the tools that you have.
Yeah.
So it's Mono E Quadrillion. There are tons of bad guys have been taken out in this chase, so they've been given as good as they've been getting, but there's just way more of them. And they're coming, and he shoots 2 shotgun shells. He takes out 2 guys really heroically and really fun way. And then, unfortunately, he takes out kind of the wrong 2 guys. The first 2 guys, well, he's got to load this crank open shotgun. Wes appears with a big weapon and starts attacking and everything. And the only way to get rid of him without dying is to slam on the brakes. It sends Wes flying up forward off the front of the truck. There's shotgun shells are scattered everywhere, so now he doesn't have a gun anymore. There's one that's just teetering out on the hood of the truck, and the windows been smashed through.
Yeah, we got gyrocopter captain dropping Molotov cocktails, drops one on Humongous. So Humongous has to stop to put out the fire in his car. So now it's just Max.
So even before he gets shot, Gyro Captain again giving as good as they're getting. He's absolutely contributing to the success of this mission.
But Gyro Captain has to he does get shot. The copter gets shot, so he goes down.
And the film allows you a film of today, a Marvel film or something, which give you some sort of after shot where you see, he's okay. This film lets you believe he's gone.
He didn't.
It doesn't show you enough for you to be sure of that, but it shows you the crash in a way that
he's forgotten for the moment. Yeah,
exactly, and that's significant because, like I say, other films, if they're going to bring a guy like that back, would give you the relief in the moment. I think they do that with faceless bad guys either. Our hero didn't kill that guy. It's cool. See, he got out at the end.
Yeah. So whether this is part of the plan or not, so after Wes goes flying.
Well, also when he slams on the brakes is when the hostages get completely decapitated and smashed.
They get.
So it's more than one thing. Everything is happening here.
It's chaotic. Yeah.
And it's chaotic, but each thing is connected and is affecting the other people, and it's really, really well plotted. For a wordless action sequence, it's extremely well plotted.
Max makes a U-turn, starts heading back the way he
U-turn shots are fantastic too. In that giant truck. Oh my god, so cool. And in reality, that would take like 15 minutes. But the way the filmmaking just makes it super cool and exciting.
And so Humongous, but meanwhile we cut back to Humongous. He got the and I only bring this up because it's one of my favorite little visuals. Is you got the fire out and Humongous is like, I'm back in the game, and he gets back on the road and hits the nitro. And you actually see in the hockey mask, you see him like, whoa.
He flies back against him. The car just goes in this unbelievably fast way. Uncontrollably fast, we'll even say.
And so he's heading, and so Max is heading back the way he came.
He's still under siege. Shells. He's telling the feral kid to climb out on the car and get the shotgun shell. So sorry, Michael, talk about ruthless and heartless. I mean, it's not like he wants his kid to die, but he is absolutely willing to use him to keep fighting. That's survival in the wasteland, and it's not that different than what Pappagallo ultimately does to Max.
It's not like Max could get out there. He's essentially pinned to the chair by this
fanged glove. There's so much going on in this sequence, and he sends him out there, and then it's almost dreamlike.
Yeah,
where it feels like we start to float. Where Feral Kid is slowly climbing out on the hood to reach.
Feral Kid who never had any fear going out by himself to face an army with a boomerang suddenly is deathly afraid of climbing out.
Great performance by that kid.
Yes,
Emil Minty.
Emil Minty. But also it's like, dude, you've literally done everything. This is what scares you. This is
the stakes are high.
End, and you feel it. This is the end of everything. I mean, it isn't, but this is it. And the movie makes you feel it, and he feels it.
Tremendously effective jump scare here. But
Wes is not. So we thought we saw the last of
Wes is flying off the front of the truck, managed to hang on, and has been out there the whole time.
Yep, he pops up to try to grab Feral Kid.
Just as that happens, Humongous's laser speeding car appears on the horizon. Max sees it. There's a tug of war between Wes and Max over trying to pull on Feral Kid. He gets Feral Kid right back into the cab just as Wes turns around to see Humongous crash into them. That Humongous's car shattered into bits. More bulging eyes for old time's sake, I guess we'll say. And the truck veers off the road into a ditch, tips over, rolls, slides, comes to a halt, and we see that great shot where Mel takes his knee brace from when he got shot in the first film and keeps his straightened out leg and bends it. And they're okay. And Feral Kid is like, he is crashed upon his body and has been saved. And they crawl out and he limps along and looks at the tanker receptacle and what's coming out of it.
Damn.
Ballast. Dirt.
Yep. And the gyro captain comes along.
He puts his hand down under the dirt like you would under like a fountain. And just to make sure that's what it is.
Yes.
Is this what's happening? Just to make sure we all know. But it's played great by Mel, where it's like,
Well, the final moment, we have to say that anyone remaining from Humongous they just turn around. They're like, we're done. Yep. But
there's not enough of them, and there's nothing to fight for in this scene.
But the look that Gyro Captain, he removes his glasses and lays his eyes.
Well, Gyro Captain rolling up like his thing, it can't fly, but it's still driving along the road. And the move of the glasses and the smile, like, hey, here I am again, partner.
And Max smiles back at him. It's such a wonderful piece of humor in this last moment of, just like you said, it's the end. This is it, Yeah.
And then that old man's voice from the beginning voiceover comes in to explain it all to us, Joel.
The school bus drives off. We discover that the fuel was in the school bus the
fuel,
time.
Michael? The precious juice
was hidden in the vehicle.
The precious juice.
Wanted to let you get that in there.
Thank you.
That's really great.
And a great tracking shot along the side of the bus where we see Curmudgeon, where we see Captain's girl, where we see the older woman from the thing, and then we see these giant drums of gas.
Gyro Captain is
the plan, and
Gyro Captain is driving the bus now as they're heading out, and our voiceover tells us that they have a new leader. And the man who came from
can I say one last thing before we totally wrap this up?
Yeah.
Just because me and Michael are sort of arguing about over the absolute dark soul of Papagallo and how he's just sending Max to the wolves. Max is getting sent to the wolves, but he's insisting on fighting the wolves for revenge. It's not like he doesn't want to be out there doing this, and the gas and the survival of the tribe really is secondary concern of his. So he's right where he belongs. I think we could have
an entire 2-hour discussion on the theory.
It feels like we could. This is my way of sneaking the last word in there.
I think Papagallo is a good guy.
And the movie ends with Max with a smile on his face, to be fair.
No, he's not. He's standing there in the wreckage, just blank and...
No, he smiles back at Gyro Captain.
I know, but then the Road Warrior, he remains in my memories. They show him, and
they show him back in the middle. Yeah.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying in the story.
So also we have
he's in on the joke. Finally, he gets it, and he's able to smile. That's significant.
Yep. The narrator is revealed to be the feral kid who's grown into manhood, who is now the leader of that group. I'm disappointed in it because I always thought if it was going to be the feral kid, he should have never learned to speak properly, and the voiceover should have just been the whole time. But he does say he's standing. The last we see of the Road Warrior standing alone by the side of the road. Also, here going back to the whole thing about spoken history is obviously feral kid was not around in the before times. Probably he was probably born post-apocalyptic, so he only knows everything
or came of age post-apocalyptic. Either way,
but absolutely. He wouldn't know all about all the leaders and the talk. He would. Again, that would all be, but not again. I'm talking about he would be telling the story from spoken word history. That's what I mean.
There's a very cool anthropological and primal element to this, the storytelling within storytelling. Yeah, Joel. Sorry, I didn't mean to. I should have let you finish your point before I blabbered.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's great world building. It's world building without saying I'm world building. It's just doing it. So Road Warrior seen standing alone on the side of the road. It's the last we ever saw of him, and that is it.
Well, I just want to put a few parting thoughts from this movie's in my top 20. I want to say it's at like number 13 of all time. My brother and I always bonded over this and a lot of other post-apocalyptic like zombie movies and stuff. But this movie is, I don't know, it's so special to me. Every time I watch it, the ride it provides is so intense and it never loses its power. It's really interesting to me. And I've seen this, I don't know, hundreds of times. It's like, it's just part of me. But I remember this very distinct feeling watching it as a kid over and over, that it was exciting to step into this ride. And that last 20 minutes of the chaos of the climax was just always such a, I'll use your term, primal, Ryan. There was something so engaging and interesting. And I was so happy to be part of the journey. And even though it ends on sort of a bad note, but again, those smiles, there's something very powerful about this movie to me. It always has been. And the fact that there's such nostalgia attached to it, the connection to my brother, but that it's still so good. It works on so many levels. There's nothing.
We talked about it. It is one of the rare, and there are a few other movies like this, but it's one of the really rare films that at some boyhood fantasy of duking it out with these weird bad guys or whatever, this heavy metal look and attitude of the whole thing. Like that thing that appealed to you as a kid. This is a movie whose details and whose humanity and whose visual prowess and all that stuff gets better with time. It gets better with time. It's stunning that it does because of the stuff that's so great about it is the primal stuff. But it's all the other stuff that keeps recommending it over and over and over again. The way it makes you care, the subtle way it makes you care without spending a whole bunch of time telling you why you should.
Yep.
It's also much better than even its really good reputation is for it. It's really, really good movie.
And this is a movie where it has a happy ending, but not for our hero.
He's just not meant for Community, as you can see.
Yes. Yeah.
And it delivers that point home.
All right. But you know where he ends up going? He goes beyond Thunderdome, y'all.
Welcome.
Next week we are going beyond Thunderdome as we wrap up this trilogy. But that is going to do it for us for this week, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. You reach out to us on the Movie Show with Joel and Ryan page on Facebook and all the other social stuff. You can find us there. And Michael, once again, thank you so much for joining us.
Yay!
We will see you all next week. Bye now.
Thank you for listening to The Movie Show with Joel and Ryan. Remember, all views and opinions represented in this podcast are personal and belong solely to the speaker and do not represent those people, institutions, or organizations that the speaker may or may not be associated with, unless explicitly stated. None of these views and opinions were intended to malign or deceive. And now, here's the producers, circa 1982, to play us out.
I'm gravely disappointed